I sat down with these 8 Minecraft SMP creators to find out if they all think the same. I made 6 statements and had each of them move a certain distance regarding how much they agree or disagree, and then asked each person why. I do want to clarify that each answer is purely opinionated, and none of the statements are my direct thoughts, but the idea was to make more open statements in order to get mixed answers and truly dwell into different Minecraft creators' minds. With that being said, SMP content is the most enjoyable content you've made.
SMP content takes forever. It takes hours and hours and hours, maybe even 100 hours to get one really awesome video that has a crazy storyline. You know, obviously there are ways to go around this and make them shorter, but back when I used to make Bed Wars content or UHC content, it would take maybe 1 day to get all of the footage that I would need for, I don't know, a video or something. And while I haven't uploaded an SMP video, just the thought of it is I know how much effort and how hard it is to make these videos. So that's why I usually just stick to streaming when it comes to SMPs. I think my most enjoyable content has been me like doing baking and crafts on TikTok and my Bed Wars TikToks. SMP content is really fun on stream, but once it gets to making an actual video, oh my gosh, it is sometimes a disaster, at least for me.
I have found that I've dabbled in a bunch of different niches across Minecraft, and I find that they're all very unique. I found enjoyment in all of the niches, and I like to switch it up and do a bit of SMP content and a bit of event content and not just stick to one niche.
I have the most fun when I'm playing with my friends, and I really like playing on modded SMPs with them, where we have a lot more to do. I like running around exploring dungeons and building cute little houses. I love servers with like biomes aplenty, because then we can make a lot of different builds that we can't in vanilla, so I really like SMP play.
Well, there's plenty of other enjoyable stuff. But with SMPs, you do get to meet new people, which is always such a treat. You don't get to do that on like single player experiences. So yeah, I'll go with agree. I don't disagree.
With SMP content, I would say that a lot of times you're playing and building with people, with others, and that just makes it a more enjoyable experience than, for instance, like a solo world or another series where you might just be working solo. Having more players and more people around just makes it more fun.
I think in terms of, well, it's sort of like, it's a thing, because it's like, it's most enjoyable to me, and it's also most enjoyable to, I think, the community, in that I think I've entertained the most people through my SMP content. I just think in terms of like recent success with like vampires or like cowboys or like even historic projects that I've been in, I think it's had the most impact on the most amount of people, and they've also let me know that.
I love telling stories and connecting with other creators, and also I don't like playing alone. So like I've done single player content. I had a hardcore world running for a long time, and like I did that a long time, and that's what kind of kickstarted my channel full-time content creating. But when I'm making content with my friends, like on Skyblock Kingdoms, like I'm able to riff off of them. There's moments where we'll be like, we make the joke where it's like, all right, I'm gonna stream on the server, I'm gonna get this and this done, and then you log on and you start talking to people and you get nothing done because you're just standing there having a conversation, or you get distracted and go on a side quest. So it's a lot of fun. I love SMP content. I love having friends and playing with my friends or doing lore.
I think I have a very biased perspective. My SMP content revolves a lot around storytelling, like very upfront forward roleplay storytelling. And in that sense, I get to make a character, I get to make a whole world to play around with. My friend Owen and I develop like game mechanics for the SMPs and all that kind of stuff. So specifically like Pow Creations SMPs is basically like making a TV show, which is like my dream job personally. So for me, SMP content is some of the most fun stuff I could possibly make and you could possibly do as a content creator. And I'd say even like outside of it, you're still collaborating with your friends and having a good time and everything. And I think that's awesome. It's so cool. Maybe for other people, I think there's so many different ways to experience Minecraft content because it is a sandbox game. So really, you can have the most fun with whatever. But personally for me and how I make Minecraft content with storytelling in mind, I don't think I could have more fun on anything else.
Before we move on to the second statement, if you'd like to take part, then put where you'd move to in the comments below. And subscribe! If you enjoy this type of content, 2026 is possibly make or break for the future of my content creation career, so I'm really planning to lock in. You still have a lot to improve when making SMP content.
I spent time being on a content-focused SMP, and I don't want to do it again. I just want to be on SMPs with my friends for fun.
I mean, there are some aspects which are good. I think mine are quite funny, but there's still things I want to improve on. I feel like the storytelling is always, sometimes it's too fast-paced, I miss stuff. There's always places to improve, but, there's still things I've got right as well, so I wouldn't say I'm the worst in the world, but yeah, there's always stuff to improve.
I think I definitely need to work on making some sort of long form content. I think it's what really holds me back when it comes to SMP content.
I always feel like you can improve. I'm always trying to implement something new into every video, whether it's a subtle little change or like something big, whether that's learning a new technique for adding background music or learning a new editing system or, learning how to make a new graphic or a new thumbnail or something. So I'm always trying to improve. And with SMP content, because of how much there is, if you aren't constantly improving, you're just going to kind of stagnate. And looking at business, it's an oversaturated genre. So if you aren't the best, why would people watch you? Not saying that it's not okay to be bad. Like, everyone starts out and their videos are going to be not as good as they want them to be, but you have to start somewhere and then constantly improve. And I still have a lot of room to grow and improve. I'm just getting inspired by my friends. I like Avid totally flipped the thing on its head with his Vampires content and his early SPK content with doing a more cinematic route and implementing lore in a way that I saw and I've been trying to emulate and take my own twist on lately. So there's tons of ways to improve constantly, even if you think you're at the top. You can keep improving.
I think there's always room for improvement. I think that there's always something new you can do or some way that you can improve, do something faster, or do something in a more interesting, more dynamic way that you've never done before. So I have to strongly agree on this one.
I think as a creator, your mindset should always be that you have something to improve on. So this is more so a general statement. I think there's always the next best possible thing. And at least me with Pack Creations and, the characters we make and the stories we tell and the game development that we do, the next SMP always shocks us with just how much better it is compared to the last one in terms of just how we've progressed in terms of our content journey and everything. And I think there's just something to say that when you are a creative, you always look at your past work and you're like, that was worse than I remember. Not in like a bad way, but in a self-critical way. So every single piece of content, there's always something to be improved on. And I think the same thing goes for SMPs.
This might just feel like a me thing, but I feel like everything I produce is sort of like almost like rushed or almost mediocre in a way, which is always like, I'm being pretty harsh on myself. I work under like, especially like with vampires, I was doing some pretty tough conditions. But yeah, I see some of my peers and I'm like, they do so much with the same amount that I've got, and I have so much to learn still.
I believe that with SMP content, there are a lot of areas that I still need to work on. Definitely with building, I'm not a very strong builder, and there are times that I feel like I need to step up and interact with people more and really branch myself out there. So at the moment, although I've dabbled in a bit of SMP content, I feel like I could really be putting myself out there more and pushing myself to create different styles of content within SMP content. One that I want to look into more is SMP lore content. I feel like, although I've only lightly touched on it, I'd love to delve into it more, and I would love that opportunity to really challenge myself to a really committed lore SMP character, and that's something I would like to work on this year.
SMPs are currently the best form of Minecraft content.
They're definitely the most popular forms of content, but I don't think they're exclusively the best, especially since MCSR is having a really big jump in popularity right now. And there's Minecraft events, and there's people who do hardcore. So I think there's a lot of other options.
I think it's hard to nail down one form of best Minecraft content. I think whatever the best form of Minecraft content personally is whatever entertains the most people at the time. Like, I could argue that my favorite piece and what I think is the best piece of Minecraft content isn't an SMP at all. It's something like White Pine, or it's more like prestige kind of stuff. But even then, calling it prestige feels almost pretentious in a way. But I feel like right now, MCSR is like reaching these massive audiences, and it has the potential to go even bigger. So I think right now, that is what is the most entertaining, just, quantitatively.
I don't watch SMP content, so it's hard for me to comment on that.
So, just with any content, it's very dependent on the individual. I personally enjoy watching SMPs, but if you could compare SMPs to speedrunning content, I know you've been getting into speedrunning lately. Like, speedrunning is so fun to watch if you're trying to learn the game or get better at the game. But also, like, there's lore content that isn't traditionally SMP that's also really fun to watch. And then you also, like, for example, people like Canadian who have their breaking down prisons videos. Like, there's so many banger videos out there that aren't SMPs, that are Minecraft specific. So I can't say that SMPs are definitively the best. There's no best category in my eyes. There's so many different ways to enjoy Minecraft content that there's not just one best.
I think that Minecraft SMP content is and can be fantastic. There's a lot of things to still be explored there and discovered, but there's also a whole bunch of other new genres that have come up. For instance, speedrunning is a huge genre that's just taking off. There's roleplay genres and SMPs coming up in that. And then there is things like the Minecraft video essays, which some of which are really good, some of which not so good, but they definitely have their place now in the Minecraft community.
I think everyone has their own view of what is the best Minecraft content. You know, my opinion on the best Minecraft content is not the end all be all opinion. But, you know, I do think SMP content is amazing and there's so much that you can do with it. I love playing Minecraft with friends, but there's a lot of scripted series right now that are doing really amazing on YouTube, and people might say that those are their favorite and the best. So I don't know. I like SMP content, but I don't know if it's the best. It could be.
With SMPs, there are a large range of SMPs. Of course, there are just like light ones where you just hang out with friends, and then there's heavier lore ones. I believe that SMP content has such a broad range that you can't really group it into just one category, but the content that comes from SMP is incredible. The streaming content and the YouTube content, there's such a variety of content that can come from SMPs, and there's so many opportunities that can be done with it. So it's such a great form of expression and creativity.
I think SMP content is easier to make compared to like a solo video or something. There's just so many personalities that you can really interact with and different flavors you choose from. So I think it's just a lot easier to sell viewers on, I don't know, let's say we made Vampires SMP, right? But if it was only one or two people, those are only one or two perspectives that you have to enjoy to watch the series. But since we had 14, you know, if you didn't like my perspective, you'd go on and see Scott's, and if you didn't see Scott's perspective, you'd go on and see Owen, or if you didn't like Owen's perspective, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Owen's perspective was awesome, but maybe Pyros, whoever it is. So in that sense, it is pretty easy to make. It's the best kind of content to make. The only part where I would like say otherwise is I just think there's so many other cool solo projects out there. I know there's like White Pine, which was crazy. So there's definitely other forms of content to be making. I just think the collaborative media, the collaborative genre of SMP content is very easily fulfilling, in my opinion.
SMP content will still be thriving in 5 years.
SMP content's been around since Minecraft started. It's been a very long journey. I think some SMPs have been going for 10, 11, 12 years now. And I don't really see that changing, as it's sort of a core fundamental aspect of Minecraft that is really enjoyable both to be a part of and to watch on YouTube.
SMPs have been around since basically the start of Minecraft. People were asked this question 5 years ago by other people, you know, other creators, and saying probably similar things. SMPs aren't just, it's not just the same gameplay loop of Minecraft. It's the people. People have been making TV shows for over a century now, right? Like, and it's the same formula, but it's the different people. It's the characters. It's the personalities. It's the skills. It's the talents that make an SMP. So 5 years from now, it may look different. There may be like a new twist, or it may be back to the basics. There's always a cycle, but there'll be new faces that we can't even predict now, that won't even appear until 5 years from now, that'll be doing something that'll be entertaining people all over the world for SMPs.
I think it is the base way friendships interact, both in content and outside of content. When you want to have a 2-week Minecraft phase, right? Yeah, you could play on a single player world, but that survival multiplayer experience is usually much more preferable, playing with friends. And in 5 years, I don't see that changing. And in terms of like the Minecraft content creation sphere, it's the type of media that people always go back to. It's the most genuine, authentic kind of media. If you look at Hermitcraft, they've been around for so long, and obviously that's like the biggest example. But like PAL stuff, we've only really started doing things from like 2022 to now in 2026. There's so much to be explored, and I don't think that's going to just change. I think, maybe the taste profiles of viewers might change, but I think there's always going to be a want for authentic, very like down to earth style of content. SMPs are just a label to play Minecraft with your friends, whether you're role playing in it like PAL stuff, or whether you're doing more like challenge based content like the Lifesteal SMP with their heart system, or whether you're just playing normal Minecraft with friends like Hermitcraft. There's always going to be some form of SMP content that evolves with the time, and for that I think it'll be around as long as Minecraft is around, really.
Playing Minecraft with friends will always be popular, and there's always something to do, always something to create, whether it's a competitive fighting server like Lifesteal SMP or a more chill and laid back server. There's so much that you can do when it's just the baseline of you and your friends in Minecraft. You can create any story, you can build anything, you can do anything. And that's why I think it will still be successful in 5 years. And also look at Hermitcraft. Hermitcraft has been around, I think, more than 5 years, and that's an SMP, and it's still doing amazing. So I don't know. I hope everything will still be going well in 5 years from now.
It's just friends playing together. And I think viewers wanting to have a look into that friend group's behavior is like an eternal piece of content. I think it's always going to happen.
I definitely think that SMP content is going to be striving in 5 years. We've seen that it's been extremely strong for the last 6 years, and I definitely don't see it dying down anytime soon. I can see that in the future there'll be different ideas, different concepts, and even SMP content today compared to how it was 5-6 years ago has changed dramatically. There's new concepts, there's new styles of content, and there's always new projects that arise that grow bigger, and I don't see that dying down anytime soon because people will never run out of creativity and ideas, and I can definitely see it still going strong in the future.
Because it just means survival multiplayer. That's like the basis of Minecraft. It's like saying, well, Minecraft still be around in 5 years. Well, yeah, it's Minecraft. It's the best-selling game of all time. Of course it will.
It's already been really popular for several years now, so I don't think that's going to change. I think it will always be a classic thing. I mean, people are still big playing Skyrim, even though that came out a very long time ago. I think it just has a lasting legacy that's persisted long enough that I think it will keep going.
SMPs are more fun when there's a story to tell.
I have had just as much fun on SMPs that are about nothing but running around as I've had on SMPs that are very, very lore focused.
I have been part of SMPs, both that are focused on lore and storytelling, and also SMPs that are more casual and for friends to mess around. And I've had great times on both. I can't really say that I preferred one or the other. They're very different, and they should be treated very differently. And I honestly don't think they can really compare. I think with playing a lore character, it's super fun, and the creativity is so different to anything else, where you really invest your time into a character and have fun creating stories and working with other people to bring a vision to life. But I've also had so much fun just on casual servers, just messing around with friends, and you really don't need a character or a storyline to create good content for people. So I think that all SMPs are able to have that fun and enjoyment, and it doesn't just have to be ones that are focused on lore and storytelling.
Stories are always fun, but I wouldn't say it's inherently more fun when there is a story. Like, with the Mojang Spear event that we got paid to do, that was so much fun. Or like MCC, it's so much fun. Or Block Wars. But there's no, like, lore. It's just us playing the game. And I don't think that not having a story takes away from it in any kind of shape or form.
I mean, I feel like I'm pretty biased considering POW does some of the most direct form of storytelling content in Minecraft SMPs. So obviously I really, really enjoy it, but I don't think that should put down every single other type of SMP experience you can enjoy. You know, I think having a story to tell with Minecraft SMP is really cool. And I think humanity naturally just yearns for storytelling anyway, whether it's more direct stuff like how POW does with their storytelling, or even lifesteal, right? Where it's just friends messing about and naturally a story kind of forms and little arcs form and all that kind of stuff. Or even Hermitcraft, they have little stories and bits and all that kind of stuff too. So I think there's always a story to tell, but there's also something really lovely about just getting on a Minecraft server and yapping with your friends for hours and finding new friendships through that. And you know, last year I just dug a hole for like 3 months straight, and I have one of my best friends possible out of that, literally my best friend. So I honestly, there's I think a lovely thing about both. Obviously I like Minecraft storytelling, so I'm gonna say it's definitely a bit more enjoyable, but I think there's so many ways to do Minecraft storytelling where it's either direct or indirect or just through little bits. So I think there's a lot of different ways to really do that.
Having a direction can make it a lot easier to want to make content and to log on and to play. Just in general, like that story could be anything from like a detailed lore plot line to something as simple as an improvised, like the example is Clump from SBK. Milkman decided we're going to do a cryptocurrency bit, and there was no characters being played. None of us were playing characters. It was just, I have to pay with Clump now. This sucks. I got to go get, like, having little mini tasks. So having a direction is helpful. I don't think you need to have in-depth lore to have more fun. I don't think you need to have any lore to have more fun. But having a little guiding direction in a story format, in something tiny, can make it more fun to be around and on the server.
Having a story in an SMP, I think is kind of fundamental to an SMP. It makes it easier to follow the progression within the server and also makes it just more enjoyable to be a part of because you're doing things for a reason rather than just making the same farms and the same builds over and over and over again. Basically, it gives you purpose in the world.
I think it keeps people invested. I think when there's no story involved, that's where you get to the 2-week Minecraft phase where you and your friends play for 2 weeks. They get to the end and then they give up after 2 weeks. But when there's a story, you're personally invested. Like your emotions are tied to this server, and so are so many of your viewers. So I think when there's a story, the server has more longevity, it is more fun to play on, and it makes way better content.
I think having a narrative that you can grow attached to, no matter how silly it is or serious it is, really makes you more engaged. Like you can do the silliest little narratives and have like dumb as hell arcs. I just know that there are all these Minecraft servers that you start with your friends, for example, and it'll just be like you'll assign value to meaningless things and then things will sprout from that, and you get so much more engaged when you like engage yourself with it and really put in the hours to making something.
SMPs have become oversaturated.
I've been around since 2021 and 2022 during the peak, I guess you could say, oversaturation. And even that didn't really feel like oversaturation. I know content creators back then kind of complained that, you know, there were so many different SMPs and all that kind of stuff that their content was getting drowned out. And to that, I say, even during those phases, eventually the SMPs that are really good, and if you're really passionate about it, will rise above the surface. I don't think there's really anything you can get in terms of oversaturation when just playing with friends in Minecraft. You can't really oversaturate that. You know, maybe if you toss in a bunch of like superpower gimmicks over the course of 2 years. I remember there was like a bajillion lifesteal clones, and you know, seeing that on YouTube was really funny. I remember the TikTok audio of like the Insanity SMP with the kid was really trendy. That was funny. But I don't know. I just don't think there's something you can oversaturate about just playing Minecraft with friends. It'll just never get old to me. So that's my thought.
I don't think SMPs have become oversaturated. I just think that people see the success of some of the bigger SMPs and it inspires them to create their own thing. And I think people see SMPs being popular, so then they want to create their own and create their own stories with their friends. And I think that's what Minecraft is. So if SMPs are oversaturated, that just means that Minecraft is oversaturated, and that's not true. So the baseline of Minecraft is just playing with your friends. And I think that can probably never be oversaturated.
I believe that although there are a lot of SMPs going on at the moment, there's not really any reason why there should be a limit. And I think SMP content is just big at the moment because people love having a server to play on with friends. I don't believe it's oversaturated, as there's always new ideas coming out. I think that it's just a great form of creativity and people have fun on the server. So, I don't know, this is a bit of a tricky one and I'm not 100% sure, but I think people speak about how SMP content is huge all the time and there's always so many servers, but I think being in the SMP space for a while, I'm always blown away by new server ideas and new concepts, and I think all of the servers coming out is just inspiring people to be more creative with their servers, be more creative with their ideas, and so that just pushes people to make more content and better content. So I don't believe it's oversaturated, as that just has positive benefits and brings the Minecraft space closer together.
I think oversaturation is a hard thing to nail down. Like, there are a lot of SMPs, but I don't think any two of them are the same. There can be a million different content creation SMPs that don't have any gimmicks, they don't have anything attached to them. But I still think the best SMPs don't rely on gimmicks, they rely on the connection between people. So I think no matter what, whenever you decide to tune into a new SMP and it's just got a completely different range of people, you're always going to get something different. Therefore, I don't think it can be saturated.
I think there's a lot of overlap. I think a lot of big SMPs have the same gimmicks put in different words. So I don't think there's too many SMPs. I just think there aren't enough original storylines.
I don't know anything about SMPs. I don't watch them. I could maybe name 3 off the top of my head.
I think the SMP genre itself has experienced a lot of change over time. However, there are so many SMPs now that it's tough to keep track of what's what, and there's all these different twists and turns, and I think while they're not incredibly, saturated yet, I think it's getting to that point where all the different twists and turns and stuff just sort of blends into one another and makes it so that no one SMP sort of stands out above the rest.
SMPs are what kids grow up wanting. When I was a little kid, I was 12, 13 watching Hermitcraft Season 3 or whenever that came out. I wanted to be on Hermitcraft. I was like, oh my God, I want my own Hermitcraft. So then I started playing Minecraft with my friends on servers. Everyone, even if they don't watch Minecraft content, they want to play with their friends and family. I have viewers who have told me they have family set servers where it's mom, dad, and the kids, and they play Minecraft together. And so everybody thinks when they get into content creation, oh yeah, I'm going to start my own SMP or I'm going to try to join an SMP. And so there's just always SMPs popping up. I always see this cycle. I've always noticed this. It'll be interesting to see if it repeats again this year. It's January and then it's the start of the school summer. You see a wave of new SMPs starting up, either New Year's resolutions or people free for the summer. And then they always kind of teeter out after a while. And it'll be interesting to see if it repeats, but there's always just new SMPs popping up left and right. And I think it leads to oversaturation. So what sets you apart is if you're able to maintain that SMP and it doesn't just teeter off.